Just like any other part of a film, the cast is always subject to change until the movie is complete. When brainstorming the right actors and actresses for each role, filmmakers can go through several names, and Hollywood history is full of interesting what-if alternate realities. Some of the biggest movies of all time could have looked very different if certain parts were handed out to someone else. At times, it's difficult to say if it would have been better or worse, but it's always fascinating to think about. With that said, here are 10 actors who missed out on huge roles for strange reasons. Spider-Man. Elizabeth Banks was only 26 years old when she tested for the role of Mary Jane Watson in Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man film. She was less than 15 months older than the lead Tobey Maguire, so it's puzzling when she was told she was too old to play MJ. The part eventually went to Kirsten Dunst, who was just 20 when the movie reached theaters in 2002. Though Banks didn't get the role she wanted, she did land a supporting part in the trilogy, playing Daily Bugle's secretary Betty Brant. It's clear that Raimi enjoyed her talent and wanted to include her in his movies somehow. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Matthew Broderick is Ferris Bueller. It's impossible to separate the actor from the character, so it's a little jarring to consider that he wasn't the only choice for the role. Johnny Depp was originally offered the role of the troublesome teenager, but had to turn it down because of the production schedule conflicted with some of his other projects. That opened the door for Broderick to step in, and a cinematic legend was made. Depp can act circles around people, but it's tough to envision him mastering the art of breaking the fourth wall in such a charming fashion. Broderick is what made the film what it is today. Casino Royale. When a new James Bond was needed for reboot Casino Royale, productions considered several names, including some A-listers. Hugh Jackman could have donned the tux, but he turned down the role of 007 because he was already Wolverine. He felt portraying two classic characters would have boxed him in too much, due to the large commitments franchise films present. In the end, it may have been a good move. Daniel Craig is considered one of the better Bonds, and Jackman has been able to carve out a diverse career between X-Men appearances. Interestingly though, both roles could be looking for a new actor very soon. The Terminator. Arnold Schwarzenegger became an action icon with his terrifying performance as the cybernetic Terminator in James Cameron's seminal sci-fi work. But if filmmakers stuck to their first pick, history would have remembered the movie very differently, for all the wrong reasons. The producers initially wanted football star O.J. Simpson, but then decided against it because they thought the charismatic running back couldn't be a convincing killer. Real life had an ironic way of proving Cameron wrong, but luckily The Terminator lives on as one of the best films ever made. If Simpson was the T-800, it may not be as revered today. The Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs pulled off the rare feat of winning in all major Oscar categories the year it was released, meaning the role of Clarice Sterling netted Jodie Foster a Best Actress trophy. Foster was always the screenwriter's choice for the part, but director Jonathan Demme wanted Michelle Pfeiffer. She was offered Clarice, but Pfeiffer turned it down because she wanted to avoid the amount of violence and gore that was in the film. It wasn't all bad for Pfeiffer, who turned many heads as Catwoman in 1992's Batman Returns. She still got to leave her mark on a popular film. Django Unchained. Most actors would kill to work with Quentin Tarantino, who consistently writes crackling dialogue and crafts masterful films. But Will Smith didn't sign up when he had the chance. Tarantino had Smith in mind for the role of Django in 2012's Django Unchained, but Smith turned down the part because he felt that Dr. King Schultz, not Django, was the movie's real lead. Smith begged for Tarantino to revise the script so it was Django who killed Calvin Candy, but the director refused. The role ended up going to Jamie Foxx, who did an excellent job opposite Christoph Waltz, who won Best Supporting Actor for his turn. Star Wars. While David Prowse gave Darth Vader his intimidating physique, his accent made the Dark Lord less threatening. George Lucas knew that Vader's lines would have to be overdubbed by another actor for the finished film. Looking for someone with a powerful voice, Lucas first considered Orson Welles, but then decided against it because he thought Welles' vocals would be too recognizable for viewers. Of course, he eventually landed on James Earl Jones, whose iconic baritone became ingrained in pop culture as one of the most definitive sounds in Star Wars lore. While we've missed him for years, the great news is he's set to return in this December's Rogue One, and fans cannot wait. The Blind Side. Its status as an Oscar contender was mocked by some, but there was no denying that The Blind Side had a lot of fans within the Academy. Its touching true story is the stuff classic inspirational sports films are made of, and Sandra Bullock received an Oscar for her performance. But another Hollywood sweetheart could have got the trophy if things had played out differently. Julia Roberts was originally offered the leading role, but turned it down so she could work on Valentine's Day, one of Gary Marshall's infamous holiday-themed movies. Roberts may not have chosen wisely, but at least she has an Oscar of her own for Erin Brockovich. Avatar. Whenever an expensive project is coming through the pipeline, executives look for any way they can increase its appeal. When it came to casting James Cameron's fantasy epic Avatar, the studio considered stars such as Matt Damon and Jake Gyllenhaal for the lead Jake Sully. Cameron took the opposite route and went with the then unknown Sam Worthington. Worthington may not have broken out as the next great leading man, but he was solid in the role and will be a main player in the forthcoming sequels. And when you consider Damon and Gyllenhaal are doing just fine without Pandora, everything worked out for the best. Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds was locked into Deadpool from the day he was born, but he needed a supporting cast. Originally, Olivia Munn was offered to play Wade Wilson's girlfriend Vanessa, a part that eventually went to Marina Baccarat. Munn turned it down because she didn't just want to play the love interest. Instead, she stayed within the same franchise and chose to play Psylocke in X-Men Apocalypse. Ironically, Psylocke was seen as one of the weaker elements of that film, while the relationship between Wade and Vanessa in Deadpool was praised for its heart. If Munn had a mulligan on this one, maybe she'd pick Deadpool. Those are our picks for actors who missed out on big roles for shocking reasons. Are there any we missed? Which ones do you wish had actually happened? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more fun videos like this one.